for no other path remains to be tread.
How do I even start this? Necrophosis is an interactive adventure game inspired by artists such as Krzysztof Beksiński with horror elements. Developed by Adonis Brostinu and Ares Dragonis, it was released on PC 25th of April 2025. We play as a character whose name is a spoiler, so for now I'll just call him Wanderer. Wanderer is born into the world with no clarification on the how, what, when, where, or why. Only little by little do we build the reasons until it's shoved really heavily into our faces. While the graphics are truly beautiful and intricate, it does struggle to play the opening cutscene of the game, and settings high and below result in grimy, ugly polygons in the game's lower levels until rising back above ground. I'm not sure what happened with the graphics, but it's clear that you'll need a high-end graphics card to truly enjoy what said graphics have to offer you as the player. It's pure eye candy, and every angle is a PC wallpaper in the waiting. Colour palettes are carefully chosen, colour theory was applied beautifully, and some graphics I didn't expect to see, like the many hands reaching out from the void doorway. It overall looks great for an indie release. To move around, you'll simply use WASD to move, Shift to run, and E to interact with the environment. My qualms with gameplay rest with the spaces between everything, actual actions requiring to move forward in the game, and the pace. Areas to move around are a little too vast in some sections. Actions also felt rather hollow for the most part. At some point it clicked that everything moves incredibly slow, even when it comes to character actions and voices. You can't skip any of the cutscenes in the game currently, so further runs may suffer for it. Here's hoping that this may be remedied at some point in the future, but I'm not holding my breath. Only some actions didn't feel empty. I enjoyed giving an emotion to somebody trapped in the desert, as it had some actual impact, whereas for the most part you'll be wandering around doing meaningless tasks that leave you feeling very empty. After the desert, it felt like nothing that I did truly mattered. Compare feeding a newborn child to a hungry giant versus collecting 6 eyeballs to activate a character for some text that you can safely ignore, or avoiding enemies to grab a bone shard to free somebody, only to sacrifice them not even 10 seconds later. It doesn't feel good. The differences in these are immense enough to the point that it harms the adventure aspect of the game. More meaningful tasks would be great. Maybe the developers began running out of time, I'm genuinely unsure. The concept of being able to use your mind to possess certain creatures or giants or even statues is very fun. When it's reduced to press W and press both the right and left click button for a few seconds, it stops being as much fun. The graphics are still wonderful to look at though, so many players will ignore the emptiness in these actions and enjoy the charming view instead. No save points exist in Necrophosis, you have a checkpoint system instead. Continuing from the start of the area when you boot Necrophosis back up and hit continue. This means that you will have to run back to where you last left off at. It's not bad in theory, but feeling that extra space between you and where you last left off, it can feel like a burden running around finally getting back to what you were doing, and it feels like those empty tasks build up on top of that, making the experience feel even more hollow. Eventually we do get obvious lines about what's happening regarding our character's path in the game, and so the storytelling could have been approached from a different angle. Even removing some lines would probably help out the game. This is now entering spoiler territory, so if you want to explore Necrophosis for yourself, now's your chance. Otherwise, skip here into the video. The story doesn't have that much to it. You play as consciousness itself with a sometimes capital C, and we're somebody the old gods has been waiting for a very long time, in a hell where death no longer exists, and our purpose is to restore not only death, but destruction overall. Without destruction, there cannot be life or creativity in general. So consciousness is necessary to move some rocks, and use some others as minds to move things that aren't rocks into certain positions. It turns out that we ascend by passing multiple Merkaba symbols, become face to face with Cthulhu? I didn't expect this kind of blatant Lovecraftian horror from Necrophosis merely by checking out the Steam tags, I have to be honest there. This was the point where I felt completely disappointed in the story. Everything previous still held my attention, but there's a million ways to depict primordial chaos rather than beating a dead horse. The notion that we have to destroy ourselves to allow our essence to create a universe and so much more, only to greet Cthulhu instead, is a bit of a letdown. It was a more original idea overridden by an overdone concept. I hate being negative about so many aspects of Necrophosis, especially as it is an indie creation, but I do wholly appreciate what it's tried to do. In the end, we use our mind to create, destruction coming about first to remove the deathless world. That in and of itself is a gorgeous scene. like other cutscenes and the game's general graphics for 3/4 of what I've experienced here. End of spoilers. Sound design is gently applied, very rarely playing music beyond ambient tracks. You'll hear set beneath your feet, the soothing melody of removing your brain to give life to whatever you may wish to interact and alter their world with. In between these acts, a short cutscene will play with some loud booming effects. For the most part, you'll simply be hearing ambience and noises you would expect. Winds carried across the sandy terrain, and the sound of footsteps in the passage below ground by enemies. And silence, your thoughts only there to keep you company. Certain cues will trigger music, like when helping a pretty heavy character amongst others. Nothing is overdone in the sound department. I found that the cutscene that plays before controlling other playable characters could feel a little loud on the default sound options, but thankfully, the devs thought of everything and gave the player individual sliders to alter this. The voices were well done. I think one British lad had a couple characters for himself, and he did a good job, though everyone did speak a little too slowly. You'll have a couple of options from the get-go in your options menu, including altering the in-game filter you'll see for the entirety of the playable character's journey. Naturally, I chose to remain on default. There will also be snippets of lore to discover, which will likely mean needing to play through more than once. You can earn coins by going out of your way to help remaining inhabitants, which can then be given to special statues, requesting payment of 2 coins each in exchange for wisdom. All in all, despite the condensed nature of this video, would I recommend Necrophosis? I'm not so sure. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place with this one. If you want to unwind after a long day and have the hardware for it, I'd definitely say pick this one up. If you're someone in search of a series of beautiful scenes, this is also for you. Observing the visuals for at least an hour is in the books, but if you're someone who wants to really interact with the environments more meaningfully, you may want to give this one a pass. And definitely pass this one up if you want to adventure around properly. This game is incredibly linear, and your space to wander around in may start to feel like a chore. With that said, thank you for watching. It needs emphasizing that Necrophosis is sincerely beautiful in what it presents. It just misses much beneath the surface, creating a shallow pool of a narrative on your journey through the sands of time. If you enjoyed watching, liking and subscribing definitely helps. Support the channel on Patreon or through channel memberships if you'd like. Otherwise, take care, and until next time.